Hi, so this is going to be the student work for measuring price changes in the unemployment rate. So, what I would recommend you do is make sure you have the presentation open, okay? And then I am going to be using DocHub. See how the PDF right here is blank, right? And then when I open it up in a new window, and then select DocHub as my app to make edits, I've already been working on this because I've made this video 3 times and been interrupted. So you're going to see things. But if you ever notice this on the top, it says you previously imported this file. Make sure you don't click create a duplicate because that will blank out everything. Instead, you want to use existing. All right. So we're going to answer questions 1 through, what is it, 24? Yeah, 1 through 24. All right. First question: what is a price index? And that's right straight from the presentation. It's a measure of the average level of prices, and that's what you'll put in there. And then what is the consumer price index? Because this says price index, this says consumer price index. There are lots of indexes, okay? The CPI, though, as it says here, it's the most widely used price index in the United States, and it's calculated by the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics. And what they do is they take what it says right here. They take a sampling of thousands of households. That's people like you and me, and they ask us like what did we pay for different goods, okay? And collectively those goods are what are called a market basket. All right, and it's hundreds of goods. It can be anything from healthcare, uh, the toothpaste that you use, things like that. Okay. Now questions 3, 4, and 5. These are related to the formulas that are expressed in the presentation. So the first question asks you, um, what is the formula for percentage change in price? Okay, so the percentage change in price is right here. So it's percentage change or in CPI. Let me make sure I'm doing this right. So it's percentage change in CPI is equal to, yes. All right, percentage change in price. All right, so it's the price in the latter year subtracted from the price in the earlier year, and then you divide that sum by the price in the earlier year, and then you multiply it by 100. It sounds wonky, but like this is an example. You buy an Xbox in 2013, it costs $499. Walmart selling the Xbox One S for $199. What's the percentage change in price? So you take the latter price, which is today, so it's $199. You subtract it from the older price, $499. You get $300. You take the 300, divide that by the earlier price, which was $499, the original price, and you get 0.60. You can see it right. Then you take that number, you multiply that by 100, and you're going to be moving your decimal over 2 places, and you get 60%. All right. So that's how you figure that out. The CPI for the current year, that's right here. You take your total dollar expenditure, that's the amount of money that you spent on the market basket in the current year, and then you divide that by the total dollar expenditure on the market basket in whatever the base year is, okay? Sometimes they'll tell you what the base year is, but if they don't, then it equals 100, just so you know. And then you multiply the results of that number by 100, okay? Now this one, because you guys are using a computer and you're not able to do this by hand, your answer is going to look a little weird, but it is what it is, right? All right, 5, percentage change in CPI. So that is right here. You got your percentage change in CPI. It's CPI latter year subtracted from CPI earlier, divided by CPI earlier, divided by 100. So they're the same. I mean, in essence, okay? The percentage change in year and the percentage change in CPI. All right, question 6. And again, you want to use the formulas from 3, 4, and 5 to figure out how to answer questions 6 through 20. All right, so it says your favorite lunch is a hamburger and fries at the local burger barn. Last year, your favorite lunch was $5.95. And this year, the same meal is $6.55. What is the percentage change in price? So we want to look at the percentage change. So that's this. So we take latter year, subtract it from earlier year, divide that by the earlier year. So earlier year, latter year, okay? So it's just 595, subtract 655, divided by the 595. Then you have to take the results, this is important, and you have to multiply those by 100, okay? And then when you do that, you're going to get a percentage. It's not a price, it's a percentage because that's what we're looking at. And what is the percentage change? So in this case, it's 10%. Don't forget to put the percent. All right. Question 7. In 1993, the average price of a new car was $12,750. In 2013, the average price of a new car was $31,252. So what is the percentage change in price of a new car from 1993 to 2013? All right. So what we're doing here is we're going to take our numbers, 31,252. We're going to, let me get the calculator out so you can see this. So we're going to take 31,252. We're going to subtract the earlier, so it's 12,570, right? So we take that and we go enter. So we get $18,402. We're going to divide that by the earlier year, so it's 12,750. So we get 1.44329. You can see it. Multiply that by 100. And that gives us 144.3. Okay. And it wants us to give us the percentage numbers. And so what you are responsible for putting down would be 144.3%. Let me check my math though. 12,750 subtract. Oops, that's not correct. I see what I did wrong here. Okay, so you're taking 31,252, subtracting that from 12,750. Divide that by 12,750. Multiply that by 100. That would make more sense. My numbers match now. So it's 145.1%. So what you're going to put down here is 145.1%. Okay. You'll do the same thing here in question 8. It wants to know, or it says in January 1993, the median sale price of a new home was $118,000. In January 2013, the median sale price of a new home was $251,500. What is the percentage change in price for new homes from January 1993 to January 2013? All right, so again, let me clear this. So we're going to take our latter year, $251,500. We're going to subtract that from $118,000. That gives us $133,500. We're going to divide that by the 118. Okay. We take that. That gives us 1.13. Take that and multiply that by 100 so we get a percentage. So it's 113.1% increase. So here, our answer for 8 is 113.1%. All right. That's what you got to do. All right, now looking down here, it says assume that the market basket assume that the market basket includes only the goods shown in the following table. Use formulas that you used for answers to questions 4 and 5 in the table below to answer questions 9 through 13. So we're looking at pizzas, pop, and DVDs. All right, so it wants to know what's the total amount spent on goods in the market basket in the base year. Okay, so this is the base year. All right. So how do we do this? Well, what we've got to do is the following thing. We have to figure out some numbers. So we're going to take 15, multiply that by 15, okay? Because that's quantity times price. So that gives us 225, all right? So it's 225 plus. Now we've got to look at the bottles of soda. So we're going to take that. It's 30 times $1.25. That's $37.50. Okay, so it's $37.50, and then we're going to take the DVDs. So it's 10 times 17, so it's 170. All right, so that's 170. Now I want the total. I don't want you guys to add to give me just the work like that. So make sure that you give me the sum. So that's 225 plus 37.50 plus 170. So that means that the total amount spent on goods in the market basket for that year was $432.50. Okay, $432.75. So don't forget the dollar sign. $432.50. All right. Now the total amount spent on goods in the market basket in the current year. Okay. So this is the current year. So you just do the same thing, but you're going to take, instead of using these prices, you use these new prices. So doing that, you take 1750, multiply that by 15, you get 262.25. Yeah, 262.50, sorry. And then we're going to go and take our $1.50, multiply that by our 30 sodas, and that gives us an even $45. And then we are going to take $19 per DVD, so that's 190. Okay, 190. So you just add these up and then show me what the sum is. So we take 262.50 plus $45 plus 190, and we get $497.50. So that's what you put here. 497.50. All right. So the CPI for the base year is, and the answer for this is it's always 100. Okay. And that's in the presentation. Not sure where, but oh, actually, you know what? It was on the previous presentation when it talked about base year. It said the base year is 100. So that's where you get that. So you have to use the prior knowledge. So if you were confused about that part, I can understand why. But the CPI is always 100 for the base year because this number is the same. It's 100% of it, right? All right. So what's the CPI for the current year? So if you remember, this is going to be what's the change between these two. And when you factor that out, and just use the formula, it tells you how to do this. So we're looking at the change in CPI, and okay, so we're looking at the CPI, and the difference between these two numbers is going to be 115. Whoops. So there's a 15% increase. All right. All right. And so this is asking you what's the percentage change. So if you take that number, right, and you look at the difference between the two, it's a 15% difference. So 15%. All right. Calculate the percentage change in the CPI between the 2 years shown. Round your answer to the nearest tenth of a percent. Okay, so we're looking at percentage change in CPI. So it's right here. So it's latter year, subtracted from earlier year, divided by earlier year, multiplied by 100. Okay, so latter, earlier, equal, then divide by the earlier, and then multiply that by 100. All right, so let's do that real quick. So the latter year here is 2005, so it's 190.7 subtracted from 168.8. So that gives me 21.9. And then I want to divide that by 168.8. I get 0.12. And then I want to multiply that number by 100. And I get 12.97. And remember, we want to round it to the nearest tenth. So that's going to make this an even 13, whoops, not dollars, percent. Okay? So that's what you do. You do that for each one of these. So 15, 16, 17, 18. Take this number, subtract it from that number, take the results, divide it by this number right here, the earlier one, whatever you get, multiply by 100, and so this one is 18%, this one is 35.6%, this answer is 37.8. Remember, your results you're going to get are larger, but we have to round it to the nearest tenth. And then 18 is 18's a little bit different though. So let's actually do this one. All right. So we're going to take 13.6. We're going to subtract that from 17.1. We get a negative number. Divide that by 17.1. And we get negative 2.0467. Then we're going to multiply that by 100. And you get negative, remember it's to the 10th. So this is going to get rounded up. So this is actually negative 20.5%. So yes, you can have negatives in this for sure for CPI changes. All right, now going down to 19. It says use the answers that you got here in 14 through 18 to answer questions 19 and 20. So which 5-year period had the highest increase in the CPI? So look at these numbers. Which one is the highest? So you should be picking 1970 to 1975. There's actually historical reasons for that too, by the way. 1970 to 75. Okay. Question 20. What is unusual about the period from 1930 to 1935? So here's 1930 to 1935. Well, look at what's different. What's not the same as all the rest of them? And that is that the CPI is negative. Okay. So the CPI change, percentage change rather, is negative. And you should know from a historical perspective why that is. And that is the Great Depression happens. Okay. So there you go. Then you don't need to include the Great Depression. I mean, if you do, it's great, but there is a reason for it. All right. So how do we figure out what the civilian labor force is? Again, you come here down to your to the presentation, and it will show you. So we want the civilian labor force. Okay. So the civilian labor force is right here. It's the unemployed persons plus the employed persons. Okay. So you just would put unemployed persons plus employed persons. Now, if you don't want to use the word persons, I don't really care, but it's the unemployed and the employed. You add those two numbers together, and that's what it is. If you think about it, like the United States has 320 million people, right? But not all of them are part of the civilian labor force. You've got kids who are in school. You've got people who are retired. You've got people who are in the military or in prison. They're not included in the civilian labor force. But anybody else who doesn't fall into those categories, they're either unemployed or employed. You add those numbers up and you get the civilian labor force, which out of about 320 million people, it's about 160 million people make up the United States civilian labor force. All right, unemployment rate. So for the unemployment rate, it's right here. It's the unemployed persons divided by the civilian labor force. Okay, so it's the unemployed persons divided by the, let me do it this way, the civilian labor force. Okay, and yes, there is an uncivilian labor force. That would be the military or prison. Now the employment rate is right here. So it's the employed persons divided by the non-institutional adult civilian population. So it is the employed persons divided by the non-institutionalized adult civilian. Man, I cannot spell today, sorry. Adult civilian population. There we go. And if you're confused about what this means, like you are in school, school is an institution. Okay. If you're in prison, that's an institution as well. So hopefully you're not, especially if you're hearing this. Okay. Now you want to use the formulas in questions up here, 21 through 23, to fill out the missing numbers in the following table. So you have information here, and you need to use that information to figure out what the answers are. So, for example, this wants to know what the civilian labor force is. So here we go. We take the unemployed persons and the employed. So we take 8,178, add 522, and we get 8,700. Okay. Now it wants to know what's the unemployment rate. And we look at the unemployment rate. It's the unemployed persons, so 522, divided by the civilian labor force. All right. So we should be able to go 522, divide that by 8,700, and there we go. But remember, you have to do this. You have to multiply that number by 100 because it's a percentage, right? So it's not, if I'm asking you for the unemployment rate, it's not 0.06, it's 6%. Now, would you be wrong the other way? No, not technically, but imagine on the news, right? Whether it's verbal or visual, And they said the unemployment rate today is at 0.06% or 0.06%. It doesn't, I don't know. There are literally people that would understand that. So you have to tell them it's 6% or 12% or whatever. So it can't be 0.12. They don't get it. All right, the employment rate. So that's the unemployed persons, or I'm sorry, that's the employed persons. So it's 8,178 divided by the non-institutionalized adult civilian population, which is right here. All right. So again, we take our 8,178, divide that by 15,000, and we get 0.5452. Multiply that by 100. We get 54.5%. And we don't want to change that. We don't want to round it up to 55 because it doesn't tell us to. So it's 54.5%. So we go 54.5%. And you just do that for the rest of us. Okay, it's that simple. You have this number, right? Now you have the civilian population, but you don't have the unemployed. Well, how do you figure that out? Well, the civilian population is employed and unemployed. Well, you take that number, subtract it from that number, and you have 390. Okay, so I'm not going to do any more with you because I think that you should, by this point, have the information you need to fill this out. So that's it, guys. You don't have to do 25. And remember, this is important. It's saved, okay? Download, G Drive, and then update. Now let's assume that this is not working for you. Like you see all of the information is here right now, okay? But you're like, Mr. Rob, I've clicked this button and it is not updating for me. What do? I want to pull my hair out. This is driving me crazy. Well, there's another thing you can do, which is you can click this button right here. See how it says download to your computer, right? And you can do that. And I'm using a desktop, but you're using Chromebooks, most of you. It's right here on the bottom left-hand side, okay? You're going to come back to the assignment. You're going to click this, add. You're going to click file. You can just drag this file up here, put it in there, okay? Then click upload. Now, I have two files that have the same name, okay? That's not for you to worry about. You click on this one, oh my God, it's blank. But see here, this is the next tab. There's your work. This is another possible way to get around the rather crappiness of DocHub. I mean, I love DocHub, but like it has its problems, and I'm aware of that. And then the all-important turn in. Okay, it's going to show both. See how they're both named the same thing? It does not cause any issues. It's not going to cause an issue for the computer. You just got to click turn in. As long as you can see at your end that the information is there, that means at my end, I can see that the work is there too. Okay, so for example, this is my teacher account. And so if I click on class work and I go to 11, measuring prices, right here, and I look to see who's turned it in. There's Mr. Rob right there. Notice I have two. Okay, so this one, it's got the work, but here's the other copy, and it has the work too. Well, I did upload it the right way, so that's why. But I can see other students too. Like this is Malaysia's. See, she's printing it out and doing it this way. Totally fine. Whatever it takes to get it done is what's important to me. Okay, just get it done. And I appreciate the hard work and effort that you guys put into this. DocHub does work. It's not a perfect system, but it does work. Okay, so there's multiple ways to get this done. All right. Have a good night, guys. Bye.